Welcome to Tell Me Your Story. New paradigms for a new world where we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. We are here 9 times a week. Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m., and Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m., streaming live at all those times at richarddugan.com. We are on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, as well as YouTube, where you can watch these conversations. I hope that you will take time to subscribe and click notifications so that when a new conversation is posted, you'll be notified and you'll be able to tune in, listen in, and learn, be entertained and inspired. A reminder that Choices, which is my book, 5 Steps for Life, it's available on Amazon.com in paperback, hardcover, and Kindle with Audible, soon to be released. We also ask that if you can support the work that we are doing financially, we do have a PayPal account. It is there for your security as well as ours. And when they ask for an email address to whom you're sending, please go to richard@richarddugan.com. That's the email address. If you go to richarddugan.com, there is also a link directly to PayPal so that you can send us whatever support you can. And we thank you to those who have helped and to those who will help. We also ask that you take time during this decade of perfect vision, the 2020s, to go within to that quiet, peaceful, calm, still place and listen to that still, small voice. And with that, we now take you to our very special interview and guest here on Tell Me Your Story. And I'm Richard Dugan, Reverend Dr. D. Thank you so much for joining us here on the program as we have a returning guest to our program. I'm very excited to have our very special guest, Ruth Whishengrad. Whishengrad. I did it the last time, and I promised myself I wouldn't do it this time. Whishengrad. And we are going to talk about this program. Basically, we're going to talk about confidence. I want to compare and contrast a little bit, though. The difference between, and I don't know if I shared this with you in the our last conversation, but the difference between confidence and arrogance, which is not what we're talking about. I had an experience at the religious radio station. We had some gentlemen who were from Mexico, and they came into the studio to do their programs dressed in suit and tie. Oh my God, they looked great. They really did. And I had a friend of mine who worked there also. She was, and she corrected me on this rather aggressively, that she was from Spain and not Mexico, or her family, I should say, was from Spain. Anyway, I said, man, these guys are really arrogant. I mean, look at them. They come in here all suited up and everything like they own the place. And she says, you're misinterpreting that. She says, that's not arrogance. That's confidence. And that's the way that they do it. And then when I moved to Santa Barbara, I would see people come in for business meetings in flip-flops, shorts, and a Tommy Bahama, is that right, shirt, or a short-sleeve Hawaiian shirt. And I'm going, wait a minute. What's the deal here? And for me, I matter of fact, when I first started working for the station back in 2007 or 2008, when I was hired full-time, I would come in not in a suit and tie, but I came in one day I came in looking like an ice cream man with a white coat and white pants. And I don't know why I thought that was a good thing. But now my standard, I'll call it uniform, Ruth, is blue jeans, which are not faded out. They're not torn. A pair of nice shoes, nothing dressy. It's casual. And then usually a long sleeve shirt. And of course, where I live now in Twin Peaks near Lake Arrowhead, because of the weather and the temperature, I've got a short sleeve shirt underneath and then the long sleeve. And then I'll maybe wear my dad's vest, so on and so forth. It makes me feel different. So let's talk a little bit we'll start about the outer trappings, if you will. Is it true that the clothes make the man or woman in that regard, that will make them feel a particular way? Depending upon, again, the environment they're going into.
Yeah, it's all about what makes you feel the best you, right? So if me feeling the best me is wearing a t-shirt and flip-flops, going into a meeting, That may not be the way I do it, but other people, that if that's actually showing who they are, I say you got to do you. I mean, it's all an expression. I mean, think about this. You see people who have purple hair
Yeah.
or green hair. They're not doing it for outward appearances of the reactions or responses from others.
Hmm.
They're doing it for themselves.
Yeah.
That's what their expression of themselves is.
Billie
And that's what
Eilish
makes them
comes to
feel good.
mind, as a matter of fact, the musician, the singer.
Hmm. Hmm.
Very talented, very creative, and I've seen her with almost like a, what is it, fluorescent green or yellow hair, stripes down the middle, and that kind of thing, and changed it. I've seen people locally here in Twin Peaks at the grocery stores, and I'm seeing people who are in their 50s, 60s, or maybe 70s who are doing that hair coloring thing. My wife does that.
Yeah, it's an outward expression of your confidence.
Now, what what do we make of people that we see, especially in the media, social media or television, on demand, et cetera, et cetera? And we're talking not about movies or television programs, but we're talking about news and those kinds of things. I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen a news anchor with other than blonde or brunette hair. Um,
Mhm.
I have a feeling that maybe there are certain standards that.
So there are certain standards or norms and that kind of stuff. And maybe those kinds of um, outlets don't don't allow for that. However, if someone's being interviewed on a TV show or something like that, you're not
That's
going to tell them that they can't be interviewed because they have purple hair,
exactly, exactly.
right? So,
Confidence, which is what we're talking about today. Matter of fact, let's give out that website so that people can find out more about the work that you are doing, and you've got something that you're offering for. Oh my God, it's free, really? You're going to go to upbeatsmedia.com/ more hyphen confidence. That's upbeatsmedia slash dot com/ more hyphen confidence. What are they going to find at that website?
I have created two books. I have created my daily I Got This journal. And these are for kids and our inner kid to help you feel confident from the inside out. And I also have created a I Got This empowering coloring and activity book for kids ages 1 to 101.
Oh, I love it.
And both of these books were were inspired by my songs that are in the Confidence in Motion collection. And going to that website, you will get a free song if you click on the first link on the website.
A free song. Very cool.
And the song, hint, hint, wink, wink, is called I Got This.
I never would have guessed that. Now, that is a phrase that I have heard before. I've got this. But there are other phrases. For example, when I was working for the television station in Santa Barbara as a master controller, when something would go wrong, all right, that probably could have been fixed, they would say, it's all good. It's all good. And I'd sit there going, no, it's not, because I live by these different standards, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Where the I've got the attitude, if you will, that things need to. There's a protocol, especially if you're working. In this case, a television station, we're making sure that the commercials have to go in where they're supposed to go, and so on and so forth. Now, on the other hand, I can understand why that phrase would be used. Nah, it's all good. because you don't want to get bogged down. My very first general manager, when I was having some trouble at the console, said, I'll tell you what, let's solve this situation here. And then you can go over in the corner if you like. Okay. There was no judgment here, by the way. And you can have a little pity party of your own. Okay. Well, once we solved the problem, there was no need to go over in the corner and have that. So my perspective was okay. And I began to learn this. When someone says, it's all good, I'm not going to say, no, it's not because blah, 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 blah. It's like, back it down and just and deal with it and then move on. And then, all right, then you could say, yeah, it's all good. But I like that I've got this or you've got this. That is a phrase today that is encouraging people to say that you can do this.
Hmm.
This is in your wheelhouse, as if it were. Well, there's so many different phrases we can use. Um, is that something too that you look at to try to encourage people in building their own confidence?
Yeah, I think what we repeat repeats.
Hmm.
So even with the phrase "all good," what we repeat repeats. If you are in a stressful situation and you're just going to focus on the stress and not the fact that things can level out, then that's a choice, right? You're
Hmm.
choosing which direction to go in. So what you repeat, so if you're going to keep repeating, I can do this, I can do this, even if you can't, here's the thing that I like to change the I can'ts to I can. And one of the ways to do that, especially when you're teaching children and you're teaching that little inner person inside of you that's fighting that sometimes,
Hmm.
one of the things that I have a whole curriculum around this as well is the power of yet. So if you
Mm.
hear someone say, I can't, you can say, I can't yet. Because
Oh,
once you add that word yet, you're right, you can't right now. And it doesn't mean that you can't, it does mean that you can in the future when you keep working through things. Does that
yeah,
make sense?
it does. No, 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 absolutely. It makes perfect sense. And I've heard that before too. I've heard that phrase, you know,
So
where,
I'm sorry.
go ahead. No, please, please.
Carol Dweck, a renowned psychologist, um, she created or she talked about the power of yet, and that there are two kinds of mindsets. There's the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. And the
Hmm.
fixed mindset says everything's like this. I was born this way. I'm staying this way. I can't improve. All is This is just the way it is.
Mm.
A growth mindset is telling you that you can change. And there is so much research out there now, more than ever before, that shows that the brain is malleable and the brain can change. And we can rewire our brain. And that is one of the things that these songs actually help do. And the more that you stay in that zone of like expression and really delving into different things and learning about yourself and allowing yourself to do these kinds of things, that is what helps move the brain from the I can't to the I can.
We are talking with our very special guest. Her name is Ruth Whishengrad, and we are going to continue that conversation as we continue here with yours truly, Reverend Dr. D, on Tell Me Your Story. We're talking with Ruth Whishengrad, and we're talking about confidence today here on Tell Me Your Story. And have you found any issues with people you're teaching this to where they've run into that issue of they're being confident in what they're doing? They know how to do what it is that they're doing, but then somebody comes along and tries to, well, I guess the best word is they try to sabotage them. Maybe not consciously, but you say, well, no, that's kind of not the way it's done. And I put it in this context when I was training people. I would teach them, I would say, I'm going to show you how I do this. And I'm going to tell you what the result is that we want. And then I'm going to let you do it however. If you want to stand on your head eating a banana, as long as you get the result that we want, I'm good with that.
Mhm.
Talk to us a little bit about the ways in which some people encourage through sometimes through, I don't know, discipline or what have you, that managerial format, or even under the category of parenting, as opposed to the more encouraging way that some people will interpret as, oh my God, do you want everybody in the group to get a participation trophy? Is that what you're talking about? And I'll tell you, that's not what I'm talking about.
So I'm not quite clear on your question because I
Well,
hear what you're saying, but
go
I
ahead.
just give me a better lead in.
Are you do the people that you teach, the people that come to you for, or they go to the website and so forth, have you ever received the emails or responses, replies that I'm getting grief from people because they think I'm being arrogant or they think I'm being narcissistic or what have you, when I'm just I'm doing what I'm doing and using the tools you've given me to be confident in what I'm doing?
No, so I typically work with teachers and with educators, and I also work with I do some regular coaching, but and I use some of these philosophies. But
Hmm.
the where I'm sending you right now is for the journals and the coloring books,
Hmm.
and I haven't actually gotten responses from people who have purchased those.
Hmm.
But the I do have a curriculum
Hmm.
that is all around this, and this is done through excuse me, through teachers and through in classrooms particularly.
Hmm.
And so I have not gotten that kind of pushback.
And what about the connection that you have with teachers? Give us a little bit of your background and how you came to this and are now sharing it in obviously with teachers in the schools.
Yeah. So many years ago I was an elementary school teacher myself, and I taught first and second grade mostly. And when it was time for me to kind of leave that segment of my life, it was more not because I just had this wish and this hope that I really wanted to get out to more people. And so working with 21 to 28 kids a year was not, I just wanted to make a bigger impact. So I left teaching. It was very hard to leave those kids. I did leave teaching and I went into publishing. And I went into Houghton Mifflin is a publisher back in on the East Coast in Massachusetts. They've now been they were when I worked there they were the lone the last dinosaur of their own of the publishing company having their own not being connected with other publishing companies.
Hmm.
They have now since been combined with others. Anyway, I worked in the school division helping with textbooks, helping teachers to really help them be able to get their message out, be able to teach what they needed to teach. I moved from there to doing more graphic design and that kind of stuff, and graphic and web design, and that was really fun. When I moved out to Santa Barbara, I was reinventing myself and what I wanted to do, and music just really started coming through me. And these
Hmm.
songs just showed up to help me through transitions and to help me feel more confident about the choices that I was making and not having to figure it out and have to feel stuck and allowing things to kind of show up the way I wanted them to. And when these songs started showing up, I was like, oh my goodness, they're helping me. They're giving me that sense of confidence and that sense of security and such. And if it could help me, I knew it could help others. So I put on my teacher hat and I put on my curriculum development hat and I created an entire curriculum. And the curriculum is correlated to all the physical national physical education standards,
Hmm.
as well as correlated to the social emotional learning core competencies. I know that's a mouthful, um, and that's so connecting those concepts and principles really helped anchor for me and for others to help people feel good from the inside out. And I started working with teachers, and I had a particular teacher say to me that it was so helpful to her and her students that she was just so amazed because the kids themselves, what it was these songs were not just singing a song,
Hmm.
like Mary Had a Little Lamb or Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, right?
Right.
They were embodying the concepts and the principles which the whole curriculum did. So the kids would actually, when they would get they were getting the understanding of confidence into their bodies, not just the words in their head.
Hmm.
So they would stand up in front of the classroom and physically take their fingers, put them on their shoulders and push them back. Take a deep breath and then start talking.
Mm.
And that was like physically showing them and teaching them how to put confidence in their bodies.
Wow. You brought to mind the experience that I had as a teacher. Now, I don't have any credentials, but I was teaching broadcasting. I was teaching the
Mhm.
elements therein at a school in Phoenix. And it was an hour and 15-minute class. And we took a break in the middle and that kind of thing. But I remember the very first time I stood up in front of the class and I said, okay, we're going to focus on this particular aspect of production. And I could have gone on for the entire hour and 15 minutes without stopping because I knew my subject. I'd been working with my subject for, I think, somewhere around 15, 20 years at that point. And I wanted to share it with these young people. And most of them were probably in their late teens or early 20s. They're paying for this vocational class. I went to a vocational school for broadcasting in 19, what was it, 81, I think. And but it was so fulfilling for me. I was so excited and I was so jazzed up when I was finished. I had to go when I left. I just had to drive for a while to just kind of bring
Bring
the
yourself
energy,
down.
bring
Yeah.
the energy down just a little bit
Yeah. Yeah.
because it was so cool. It was so exciting to be able to do that in person. Now with this program that I've been doing and I've been interviewing since 1980. Uh, I I just love doing this. And
Mhm.
I've done a few solo programs where it's just me talking to the listeners and viewers. And there's just, I don't know. So it's like I want to impart this to so many people. And I work with some people who have that low self-esteem. Talk to us about the connection, if you will, when we're talking about confidence and a person's self-esteem. I know there's a lot of criticism in some circles about that whole aspect. School is supposed to be where you're teaching people. It has nothing to do with their self-esteem.
Oh.
And I'm thinking,
You know,
well, I disagree, but that's my observation. But tell us about the connection between those two.
well, they're very similar and yet they're also different, right? So
Mhm.
self-esteem is how you feel about yourself. Confidence is also how you feel about yourself. However, it's more of a, I guess in some ways the confidence is internal and external and the self-esteem is probably more internal.
Mhm.
So that could be a way to kind of look at the two of those and
Mhm.
see how those kind of, if you're looking at that. And somebody with low self-esteem doesn't feel very good about themselves. They can show some confidence on the outside, maybe, but they're still not really connected in that kind of. They're still not connected to themselves,
Hmm.
and they're doing it. So yeah, I don't know how else to.
Well, and that's an important distinction. So it is possible for an individual with low self-esteem to have a lot of trouble with this I've got this confidence aspect. Whereas if they work on their self esteem, that will then sort of supercharge or energize that confidence area in themselves.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you can say, so, okay, this is a perfect example. When these songs were coming through me, I was creating them from the words that I would hear. I think I had mentioned in our last time, have you ever gotten a song stuck in your head? Right? And so the songs that were stuck in my head the phrases that were stuck in my head were where the songs started to show up. And the first song that showed up was a song called that ended up being called I Can Do It.
Hmm.
And I realized I was singing this song over and over again. I'll just sing a little phrase to you. I can do it. Yes, I can do it. I think I can. I know I can. So I was singing that over and over and over again. And there was something I wasn't believing. I'm like, yeah, right, I can do it. Like, no, I'm not able to do it. And I couldn't understand what it was that was the disconnect. And then light bulb. I wasn't feeling confident that I could do it. So a new song showed up, which was all about confidence. And once I had that foundation of confidence, then telling myself I could do it, I believed it.
Hmm.
Without that layer and that foundation of confidence, saying, you know, that, that I had confidence in myself and I was worthy of that confidence and I could do what I needed to do because I really felt like I got this. I know myself, right?
Hmm.
Without that foundation, singing, I can do it, I didn't believe it.
Hmm.
But
We
with the
are,
1-2 punch,
yeah, absolutely. We're talking with Ruth Whishengrad, and we're talking about confidence here on the program. That website, let's give that out again. It is upbeats, it's plural, upbeatsmedia.com/more hyphen confidence. We'll be linked to that website as we continue here on Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan, Reverend Dr. D, and we're talking with our very special guest, Ruth Whishengrad. And something occurred to me. I mean, there are a lot of different terms that we're using here. Obviously, confidence is one of the top of the list here. But then, of course, we're talking about self-esteem. And you use the phrase self-worth. And I have a feeling that maybe self-esteem and self-worth are maybe synonymous terms. But we've got segments of our society who have basically been told over the years that they're not worthy. I'm going to use the lyrics of a song, very popular, used a lot, and I, I personally, I'm not a fan of the song because of one word. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved. This is the word I don't like. A wretch like me.
right.
And I'm sitting here going, how is that helping an individual to feel better about themselves? Now, again, all of what I'm saying
100%.
here is my observations. I'm not putting this on anybody. I have to make that disclaimer. Um, but every time I hear that song, and even when I hear it played, let's say on the bagpipes and what have you, it's like, oh, could they not find another song? Or could we change the word wretch to that saved, Amazing Grace, it saved a person like me, or whatever
Mhm.
the case might be. Because there has to come a point when we cross the line from that wretch, shall we say, Um, what are your thoughts in that regard? Not necessarily specifically to that song, but in terms of the messages that we're getting from so many different quarters about how, on the one hand, we're not worthy, but on the other hand, they say, and you can do anything you want in this life, kid.
Right. Well, so when that's a really good point. I agree with you very much so. If you keep referring to yourself as less than or a wretch, as you're saying in this situation, or not, if you keep seeing yourself as less than, let's
Mhm.
just call it less than instead of, or as a horror, as not in a good place, you're still referring to yourself in that place, and you're not allowing yourself to change from that.
Yeah, yeah,
So when your anchor point is less than, or your anchor point is saying I'm a bad person, even if you say all these glorious other things about yourself, your anchor point, you need to change your anchor point.
yeah, yeah. Well, this program is designed to give people new paradigms for a new world, a new way of looking at things. I'm not saying you have to go that way. We're just putting it out there. Okay. We're just making it available.
Right. And I think there are a lot of teachers out there that say, or a lot of not teachers, there is skepticism that says, well, if you keep telling yourself you're amazing, maybe that's not the right word because of the song, but
Sure.
if you keep saying you, I'm just realizing that. But if you keep telling yourself that you are amazing and you don't believe it, um, that's lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Well, if that's where you want to go, then keep saying it until you believe it.
Yeah. I've heard that. What is the phrase? Oh, I can't remember, but it's basically to your point that you just say it and say it enough times to eventually you actually do believe it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I know that for me, again, keeping it personal, keeping it local, so to speak, for me,
Okay.
people have been watching these videos in particular, and no one has made a comment about it. I know early on I did, and I have actually felt somewhat self-conscious about this, and that is that I have two teeth missing. And for the longest time, it was very difficult for me to smile openly.
Mm.
I would, and even when I'm communicating or talking on these programs. And I finally got to the point where it's like, if you turned off the camera and just had a picture of yourself up there where you had all your teeth, that would be fine too. And then, you wouldn't have to even think about it in terms of the message you're trying to bring forth. In this case, we're talking about confidence. I'm now in a space and a place where I don't. It doesn't. I'm good with it. I'm fine with the appearance. One day I'm going to get those places filled in because I want to live to be 100. So hopefully I get it before I get to 80 or 90 or 95 or that kind of thing. I'd like to get it sooner than that. Um, but I know that that's a lot of what we base our confidence on is our appearance.
Hmm.
I mean, and it's hammered home regularly. As a kid growing up and into the 70s, 80s, and so forth, it was always the younger set, in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, 40s. But now I'm seeing commercials where they're using actors and actresses. I still like the word actress, not female actor, who are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, who are being portrayed. And I get to the point where I'm going, why are we making ourselves up? Why are we putting on these masks? Women in particular, but men are doing it now more so. Uh, why can't we be happy with the way we are? And that's not to take away from someone's lack of self confidence where they feel that they need, let's just say, the plastic surgery or the makeup. And I will say this, if that makes them feel better, makes them feel more confident, more power to you.
Exactly. And there are actresses I've been seeing that are actually saying they're not putting on makeup anymore. They're saying, I want you to see the real me. I want
Yeah.
you to see who I am. And I think that it's this, what you're to your point from earlier when you said somebody who's got purple hair
Hmm.
versus somebody who's missing like what yourself saying that you've got the missing teeth. It's you get to choose
Yeah.
whether you want to be confident about it. It's how you bring yourself to the world. Yeah,
Is
it's the
is there
expression of
a is there a process that you know of or that you have in addition to the music that you've created, the songs that you've written, that can help somebody to start to embrace the real the real you, if you will, them, obviously, in terms of, in my case, the missing teeth. Or I had a gentleman who was helping us move and unpack the truck and bring the stuff into the house. And it took him a few weeks, maybe a month or two, before he addressed the issue of my left eye. He says, I wanted to ask you if you don't mind. I don't want to impose, but can you tell me what's up with your left eye? And I told him, I says, glaucoma. I lost the vision in my left eye due to glaucoma, you
Mhm.
know, and it doesn't look the same as my right. Now, I considered going the direction of of the governor of the state of Arizona, Jack Williams, who apparently had something on going on with his eye, and so he had a cloudy lens put into his glasses, so that it wouldn't be showing. That's how he dealt with that. But are there what are some techniques that you know of or ways that you can help a person who is self-conscious in that way to diminish that self-consciousness and feel confident in themselves, to be able to do the kinds of things that they want to do in their lives?
Well, I don't think there's one magic bullet
No,
or
no, I
magic
agree.
pill to it. I also do confidence coaching where I work with people and I meet them where they are and we talk through some of those situations and what are, what's at the root of that and why are they feeling that way? I don't think that it's a one one thing fits all situations.
Hmm.
So there are techniques, and it kind of is something that I would do one on one with somebody
Yeah.
to help them through that.
I remember being on the other side of the line when it came to cosmetic surgery, and I'm going, why can't people just feel comfortable with who they are? But as I moved forward and learned more, I began to realize, but if that makes them feel better, if it makes them feel confident in themselves,
Mhm.
why not let them do it? And I will tell you also that I think that the same position should be taken, and I do, for the trans community. If you're not comfortable in the body that you're in, who is anybody to tell you that you can't transition, if you will? You can't make those adjustments and changes. Because if that makes you feel better, so that you can then, as we promote quite often on this program, seeking out one's life's purpose, if that helps you to go after your life's purpose, whereas before you couldn't because, again, you were so self conscious. I mean, because there's so much potential out there, Ruth. I mean,
Mhm.
every human being has such great potential, and
Right.
the contributions that they can make in our society are lost when they don't contribute for whatever the reason is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree.
How many songs have you written? Are you aware?
Uh, well,
Hundreds?
yeah, more are coming through all the time. Yeah,
Hmm. And
more.
when you first started writing, were you self-conscious about the singing part of it and in performing it in front of people?
At the very, very beginning, yes. And I started taking some courses around that. There was a wonderful course that was done here in Santa Barbara. It was called the Breakthrough Performance Workshop. And at the end of this 6-week workshop, we got on stage at Soho, the nightclub in town, in front of 350 people, and I broke free of my fear of singing in public.
You know, I heard this in a documentary not too long ago in regards to the fear of singing. And one of the participants said, you know, people don't think of it this way, but when you talk, and that's what we call it, talking, as you and I are doing here, he says, you're singing. You are singing. Now, you may not be putting a melody in that regard to it, but you have the tone of your voice goes up and down, just like when you were conversing there and sharing with us, and pacing and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
So it's like, okay, you have a fear of singing, but you're already doing that when you're talking to people.
Well, the two biggest fears are public speaking
Mhm.
and singing in public. Those are two of the
Yeah.
biggest fears, right? So public speaking is it's with an audience. These
Hmm.
are audience related.
Right.
And did you know the first form of singing, what the first form of singing is?
What was as
Crying.
as
A child who's crying, that is actually vocalizing. That
yes.
is actually a song. It's not
Wow.
a happy song necessarily. It is a song. And actually
Wow.
when it's described that way to a new parent,
Hmm.
they actually go, "Oh," and they can actually make sounds along with the child, and it actually slows down the anxiety.
Wow. I hadn't thought of that. But again, every form of vocalization that we call
Ex
it, whatever we want, um, then we would even put laughter in that context, would we not?
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Because some people have sometimes they have a laughter that flows up and down or high pitched and what have you.
Exactly. It has its own characteristics.
Yeah. It's amazing. And it's the things that we haven't really thought of before. We are talking with Ruth Whishengrad, and she is sharing with us her observations and so forth about confidence. All right, confidence, and you can go to upbeatsmedia.com/more hyphen confidence. We'll be linked to that website as well. So you can also get your free song and maybe order a book or two, the I've Got This journal, as well as the book entitled as well. And we hope you will stay with us as we continue here on Tell Me Your Story. Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. D. Richard Dugan, and she is Ruth Whishengrad. And it was interesting when you talk about confidence. I remember when I first met my wife, my present wife, and she was doing what she referred to as the practice, which was Tai Chi, and she went to her mentor asking for him to give her a new name, and he did. And then, of course, I'm thinking, well, on the one hand, it was like I don't want to be left out, so I think I'll come up with something. Well, and I did. From Autobiography of a Yogi, I came up with the well, I call it a nickname, if you will, called Raja, which comes from the story of the Tiger Swami, who went after this one Bengal tiger, whose name was Raja Begum or Princess. And I took that on, but in that small little group of people that were doing the practice, that was okay. And then I started to expand that out a little bit more. Well, then when I moved to Santa Barbara, and I went back, of course, to Richard and so forth, um, I refer to myself as an audio physician. I do archival work. And so someone said, "Oh, hey, Dr. D." It was, and okay, sure, why not? I appreciate that. It's fun. And then I get an email a couple of years ago from the Universal Whole Life Church online. Congratulations, Reverend, for being a Reverend for 10 years. Oh yeah, I forgot I had signed up for that. And so now I figure, what the heck? So now it's Reverend Dr. D, and I feel good about that. You know,
Awesome.
and it's kind of nice to have a little story about it, sure.
Hmm.
But I know that there are a lot of people who they don't like the name that they have, or they just want to change their name because the name they have doesn't really fit, doesn't resonate with them. And my wife actually did that. She actually changed her name to one of the names that her mentor gave her legally, and has been so for 15, maybe 15, 18 years.
Okay.
So the changes that we make in ourselves that make us feel good about ourselves, that's extremely important, is it not? It almost goes to that biblical passage, ye shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So it stands to reason that it would really be also behoove the individual to also go within and find out who they really are.
Hmm.
Just to, even if it's just to come to terms, even just to come to terms. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I agree. Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
you're the one living in this body for now,
Hmm.
right? So you got to feel comfortable. You got to express yourself the way that you're here to express yourself.
What about in you? Have there been things that you have changed about yourself that have made you feel better than you were before? And it's not to say that you felt horrible about yourself before. It's just, I think maybe I will change my name, or I'll change my hair color, or I'll change my hair,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so
I
forth.
for a number of years, I had very short hair, just just a little bit below my ears, and I had someone suggest that I look into growing it out, which was
Mhm.
not an easy task, especially with curly hair like myself. And I absolutely love my hair now. So
Mhm.
it is something that I probably won't go back to short hair. And so that's definitely something that I changed about myself.
Well, I think it's really exciting when we do that because, I mean, for example, one thing that has changed obviously in my life is, and my wife's obviously, is our location. We're no longer living in Santa Barbara for a number of different reasons, and we're living here in Twin Peaks in California, above San Bernardino, and the more that I do what I'm doing in the house to unpack and to decorate and to put things up, and I consult obviously with my wife in that regard because I want us both to feel comfortable with the way things
Mhm.
are. It has, I have a lot of difficulty sometimes remembering what day it is because I work from home. So I
Exactly.
need to keep track on that. Um, but it's been an incredible journey in that regard, and I encourage people to, because for us it was stepping out of our comfort zone, and that wasn't something we chose, but that's a big deal. Getting stepping out of your comfort zone, isn't it?
So back in 2010 or 2009, I was taking a course at Kripalu. It's a yoga retreat center in Western Massachusetts because I wasn't happy in my job, the job that I was in at the time. And she asked me if there was something that I was, she asked all of us, is there something that you've tamped down, pushed under the rug, and you just have regretted that you haven't done? And the first thing that bubbled up for me was California, because in 1989 I had driven across country by myself,
Hmm.
and uh, I got scared and I went home. And well, I know I had regretted for 21 years that didn't make it out to California. And in that moment, things changed. And I went through the process to actually grab that confidence and come back to California. And I didn't know I was going to Santa Barbara. I had no idea where I was going. And I that took a lot of courage and a lot of confidence in order to do that. And did I have moments of times where I was like, why am I doing this again? Absolutely. When I first got out, I was up in San Francisco because I wasn't sure where I was staying, and I cried in a hotel room for 4 days saying, I messed up my life again. I did this 21 years old earlier. Why am I doing this? And I heard this small, still voice that said, go to Santa Barbara.
Boy, you just stepped right into my next question about our intuition. And we
Mhm.
promote on this program and have been since 2020, actually September of 2019, people spending time going within, listening to that still small voice during the year and then the decade of perfect vision, the 2020s.
Hmm.
Talk to us about how important that is.
Well, so I was from the East Coast, and the East Coast has a very different, at least for me, I
Hmm.
grew up there, so I feel like I can talk about that.
Hmm.
Uh, there's a different mentality, there's a different um, idea around things. At least that's how I grew up. And it was more about, how many degrees can you get, and, those kinds of things. Um, Coming out here to California, I have really had an opportunity to just slow down from that. Gotta achieve, achieve, achieve. Slow down a little bit and tap into my intuition and
Hmm.
tap into that, which I didn't really know about that before. I was not aware of those kinds of things. I didn't, and so that has listening to those that voice and no I not the voices of like the crazy voices, more listening, like listening to what is coming up for me in
Yeah.
different situations has really changed my life in huge ways.
Well, we hope that people will go to the website upbeatsmedia.com/move hyphen confidence and
More hyphen, more.
more hyphen confidence. There we go. We'll have it right on the screen, I promise you.
Yeah,
But go there and get a copy of each of these books here, the both the daily journal, if you will, as well as I guess you'd call it the workbook or
the
text
coloring book, coloring.
coloring book.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness, that'd be fun. Matter of fact, I was just unpacking some things and I came across my I'll call it a pencil box, but it has felt tips as well that I've
Mm.
had for years that I do my own drawings and things of that nature, which people can actually see some of those drawings in my book, which is Choices 5 Steps for Life, available at Amazon. But we encourage folks to go to your website and that site that we're giving out and get those books, the coloring book, as well as the journal, as well as the free song. And also, they can go, I'm sure, to your website, minus the more hyphen confidence, and find out more about you and the work that you're doing and listen to more of your songs.
Exactly.
That's exciting. It's interesting how I've been a broadcaster for, well, let's see, 40, I don't know, 47 years, something like that. I've been an author for a little over a year, but I have been a songwriter for about 5 years, a little over 5 years. I've only written 2 songs,
Hmm.
but still, you write one, you're a songwriter. And mine, that I had a great deal of help with from a woman in Santa Barbara. Her name is Emily Yurchison. She has this program and book called, um, oh my goodness, something along the lines of Oasis of Song or something like. Anyway, she helps you to write your song where you are at that moment. Mine just happens to be, and speaking of confidence, I'm a good man doing the best I can.
Hmm.
And I remember singing that in front of a bunch of folks at a retirement home. I was asked by Emily to come and perform it. And I said, okay. And she accompanied me because she helped to write the music. And the comments that I got afterward were extraordinary, especially specifically from the men. They thanked me for the song. They thanked me for the sentiment and so forth because they have always wanted to be able to say that. I know that my father, who has since passed away, he could certainly say that, and my sisters would say that of him. I remember one of them said that he was the most honest man they'd ever known. Well, I would agree, but that wasn't something that I even questioned. I never questioned his honesty in that regard. So, wow, confidence, being able to stand up in front of people. I've done that as well. Um, I didn't even need a microphone at my father's memorial because I was so loud.
Mm.
But it was wonderful. It really was. So I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing, bringing these things to our attention, and for being a part of the work that we're doing here on Tell Me Your Story to change the world a little at a time in song and other ways. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm going to ask you those three final questions that I asked you last time because you know what? Sometimes the answers change. But before I do, I want to thank you for listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story. New paradigms for a new world, where we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m., and Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m., streaming live at all 9 times at richarddugan.com with podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and we're on YouTube. I hope you'll subscribe as well as click notification. We also hope that you will get a copy of Choices by going to Amazon. It's available in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle. And we also hope that you will leave us a tip. You can go to PayPal and you can put in my email address. But even easier than that, go to richarddugan.com. At the top of the page, there's a link to Amazon for Choices and a link to PayPal to leave a tip. And then, of course, as I've said earlier, we hope that you'll take time going within to that quiet, peaceful, calm, still place and listen to that still, small voice, just like our guest Ruth did, that brought her all the way to the West Coast, just like it brought my wife and I all the way to the West Coast. So we hope you will participate in those elements. With all that being said, we're going to go to our final three questions for a very special guest. And the first of those is, who is Ruth Whishengrad?
Who is Ruth Wishing? That's not a simple, quick little question.
I never said this course was going to be easy.
Oh, who? Stay tuned for next time for that answer.
All right. What is it that gets you up in the morning?
Oh, I want to make a difference in the world. I want to help people, and I want to bring more confidence and more song out to the world.
Mm. And finally, what was your best day?
It's yet to come.
Very good. Well, Ruth, thank you once again for joining us. Let's give out that email, that website address once again. It is upbeatsmedia.com/more hyphen confidence. Again, will be linked. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you folks for listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story. And until our next broadcast, podcast, videocast, love to Lal. Jeanette, I'm still listening. Dad, continue to be happy because I am. Smokey, I'll see you on the other side. Mike, thanks for letting me be in your life and being in mine. And to my dear friend Zorro, aho, aho.